Tower, this is Ghost Rider requesting a flyby.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're exploring 10 disasters that happened on film sets.
Alec Baldwin fired a prop gun on the set of his film Rust on Thursday.
For this list, we'll be looking at tragic accidents that happened during film productions, leading to serious injury or death. Which of these instances shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Vehicular accidents. Resident Evil, the final chapter. Sadly, there were multiple accidents that happened on the set of this movie.
The antivirus is airborne, spread by the winds. It could take years for it to reach every corner of the earth.
Olivia Jackson worked as a stunt double for lead Mia Jovovich, a job that would forever change her life. While filming in South Africa in September of 2015, Jackson was riding a motorcycle as it collided with a camera crane. She suffered major injuries, was put into a medically induced coma, and had to have one of her arms amputated. She would later sue for negligence and rightfully win, though her career in stunts was clearly finished.
When I came out of the coma, I wasn't exactly sure of all my injuries. I don't think anybody had the heart to tell me that there was no chance of making it better.
Crew member Ricardo Cornelius wasn't quite as fortunate. In December of that same year, he was crushed by a Hummer after the platform it was sitting on tilted, dying hours later in the hospital.
Come on!
Motorcycle accident. Deadpool 2.
Sit tight and wait for my word.
Whatever. We're gonna lose them. I'm dropping in.
That's a negative.
Motorcyclist Joy Harris made a name for herself in the professional racing scene. However, her first job as a stunt performer would be her last.
Harris, seen here in a competition in 2015, was a professional motorcycle racer from Brooklyn.
While filming in Vancouver on Deadpool 2 in August 2017, Harris was doubling for domino actor Zazie Beetz. Although she was an accomplished racer and she had practiced the stunt several times, Harris lost control of her bike and crashed. She hadn't been wearing a helmet, as the character wasn't, and died on the scene moments later. While the film was dedicated to her memory, many professional stunt workers questioned using Harris over someone better trained. In fact, a more experienced stunt performer was available and willing, but Harris was chosen since her skin tone matched Beetz better.
Look, accidents on film sets happen all the time. Deaths are relatively rare. One is too many, of course.
Wild animals. Roar. While the message behind this comedy is great, it sounds like the 5-year-long shoot was an absolute nightmare.
It's just playing, I'm telling you. But you could get killed. The cat's got a little extra. Yeah, that's all. Oh.
Roar follows a man living on a nature reserve with big cats. Hilarity ensues when his family comes for a visit. However, what was no laughing matter was the fact that most of the animals used weren't trained. It's impossible to single out just one disaster or accident, as more than half of the crew and cast received serious injuries from their animal co-stars. A lion scalped cinematographer Jan de Bont, an injury that required 220 sutures.
He was back filming 2 weeks later.
Lead actor Tippi Hedren broke an ankle when an elephant picked her up with its trunk and contracted gangrene soon after.
Help me!
Naturally, there was a high crew turnover rate. Explosion accidents. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1.
Hang on, Harry!
David Holmes took on the stunts Daniel Radcliffe couldn't, beginning with 2001's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. But shortly after production began on the first Deathly Hallows in early 2009, tragedy struck. While filming a flight sequence in a harness, what was meant to be a controlled explosion sent Holmes falling through the air. Though he was conscious when he landed, he told those around him he couldn't feel his legs. Sadly, the spinal injury was too severe to repair, and he would never walk again.
What happened, I was rehearsing a Harry Voldemort sequence for the Deathly Hallows, And it was just a rehearsal that went wrong, and unfortunately I had my injury.
The silver lining is in the fact that it hasn't stopped him from pursuing his passions. He co-founded his own production company, Ripple Productions, in 2013. A life-ending crash. The Dark Knight. Clearly, some of the biggest on-set disasters can happen from stunts going wrong.
What street is he taking? He's not on a street, he's flying on rooftops!
Having worked on stunts for Batman Begins, Conway Wycliffe returned for the sequel. While shooting at a special effects facility in England, he and the rest of the team planned and tested a sequence for Batman's tumbler. He was only meant to follow in a car behind, hanging out the window to film the stunt with his camera. But when the driver lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a tree, Wycliffe's positioning ensured his fate. He died at the scene. The film was dedicated to his memory, along with Heath Ledger's, who tragically passed from an accidental overdose during editing.
All you care about is money. This town deserves a better class of criminal. And I'm gonna give it to him.
An accidental shooting. Rust. The accidental shooting on the set of Rust is only the latest example of an on-set disaster.
The Sheriff's Department tells ET, quote, "This investigation remains open and active. No charges have been filed in regard to this incident. Witnesses continue to be interviewed by detectives."
In October of 2021, Alec Baldwin was handling a prop gun that discharged, shooting both director Joel Souza and cinematographer Helena Hutchins with a live round. While Souza was only injured, Hutchins died from the gunshot.
Baldwin has denied pulling the trigger on the gun which killed Hutchins and says he doesn't know how live rounds came to be on the set.
A widespread investigation into on-set safety was issued. Reports of the first assistant director David Hall's history of disregarding safety surfaced, and he would later plead guilty to negligence. While production on the Western was originally planned to recommence in January 2023, both Baldwin and armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed were charged with involuntary manslaughter that same month. As of writing, it's unclear when or if the production will begin again.
The district attorney's bombshell announcement means if convicted on all charges, the famed actor could face up to 6.5 years in prison.
Plunge into the sea. Top Gun.
Talk to me, Goose. Get in there, for Christ's sake! ICE is in trouble. He's got no cover. Get in there, Maverick. He won't last down there alone. Get in the fight, for Christ's sake!
Top Gun is an action classic to many, with high-octane thrills, tons of quotable lines, and Tom Cruise at the beginning of his career as a superstar. Unfortunately, not everyone who worked on the movie got to see it.
You're okay, Cougar. Just stay on my wing. I'll take you all the way in.
Pilot Art Scholl had worked on plenty of film and TV sets. His ability to capture riveting footage from inside the cockpit made him a must-have for this particular production.
Engine 1 is out. Engine 2 is out. Goose, I'm losing control. I can't control it. It won't recover.
In September of 1985, he was practicing a technique off the southern coast of California. However, something went wrong midway, with Scholl saying over the radio that he had a real problem. Unable to recover, he crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Neither the plane nor his body were ever recovered, making the actual cause a mystery. Gun misfire. The Crow.
Suddenly, I heard a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door.
Brandon Lee's death is one of the most infamous on-set accidents in film history.
It's funny. Little things used to mean so much to Shelley. I used to think they were kind of trivial.
In March of 1993, filming on the cult comic book movie had nearly finished. In fact, Lee only had 3 days left before he was done. They were filming a scene in which Lee's character, Eric, is shot by Michael Massey's Fun Boy.
Eric? Department of Housing.
Budget constraints had led to the prop crew creating their own dummy cartridges. When they were exchanged for blank rounds, the firearm's barrel wasn't cleaned, and a dummy cartridge had become lodged. When Massey fired, the cartridge hit Lee in the chest, and he died after 6 hours of surgery. The rest of his scenes were finished with a stunt double and special effects. The train incident. Midnight Rider.
After this story, you may never watch a movie the same way again.
Based on Greg Allman's autobiography, Midnight Rider was meant to tell the story of the rock star's life. It didn't even get through one day of filming before an on-set disaster guaranteed its cancellation. Filming began in Georgia in February 2014. While shooting a sequence on railroad tracks, the scene was interrupted when an actual train came barreling through the set. As we'd find out, the filmmakers had failed to secure filming rights for the location. This led to several crew members getting injured and the death of assistant camera operator Sarah Jones.
She was a little bit surprised that some of the people did not have the level of expertise that she expected.
Those in charge of the shoot, including director Randall Miller, were all charged with involuntary manslaughter and trespassing. Miller received a 10-year sentence, though only served one with probation. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Helicopter crash. Twilight Zone, the movie.
Bill, you look kind of cranky this evening.
Yeah, I'm pissed all right.
The Twilight Zone is spooky, but an accident from the movie's set was genuinely horrifying.
While here at home, a freak accident turns a war movie set into real-life disaster, killing veteran actor Vic Morrow.
The film tells 4 stories, each helmed by a different director. John Landis was overseeing his section in July of 1982 in Valencia, California. The story followed a man jumping through time, including the Vietnam War, where he had to protect 2 Vietnamese children.
I'm American! I'm American!
A stunt involving a helicopter went terribly wrong, causing it to crash and injure the 6 people inside. However, it landed on actor Vic Morrow and child actors Renee Shin-Yi Chen and Mika Din Lee. While the movie was still released, the sequence had to be reworked. The accident's ripple led to years of lawsuits and massive changes to safety regulations within the film industry.